Hi, I'm Jessica.
And I'm Kaley, and welcome to our Top 5 list.
These are places that we would personally love to visit. Alright. Today's is Washington.
It was too low. Our first haunted spot is Fort Vancouver.
Fort Vancouver was created in 1849 as a safe haven for early settlers traveling the Oregon Trail. As the fort grew, so did the need for housing. This area became known as Officers' Row, a row of 21 white Victorian mansions meant to house the men and families of those residing at the fort.
The gorgeous homes are said to be haunted by the spirits of early colonists buried on the grounds. These restless spirits haunt 3 homes in particular, most notably making appearances during renovations to office spaces.
Doors opening and closing.
Phones ringing when none are connected.
Echoes of footsteps through the halls.
Cold spots in multiple areas.
Be careful not to cross the ghostly tenants of Officers' Row at Fort Vancouver. And number 2 on this list is the Mount Baker Theater.
The Mount Baker Theater was opened in 1927 and still entertains the masses today, but all that glitters is not gold in this opulent playhouse.
Strange and unexplained voices.
Orbs of light.
Cold spots.
Unexplained movement of objects.
And last but not least, the ghost of Judy. Before it was the Mount Baker Theater, there was a boarding school on the same grounds. It is unclear if the two resided in the same building or if one made way for the other. The legend goes that Judy attended this boarding school and one night she fell ill in her room and died. Her room was located on what is now the stage of the theater.
Judy still roams the halls that she once called home, rearranging the decor and speaking to those she chooses. Many have claimed that she's called them by name and brushed against them. Paranormal investigation teams have said that while they do capture photos of misty figures, they have never reported any malice.
Thankfully, Judy still feels at home in this historic playhouse. Remember to greet her the next time you take in a show at the Mount Baker Theater.
Number 3. The Lewis County Historical Museum. This former train depot was built in 1912 and is now home to relics of times past.
South Sound Paranormal Research has investigated the Lewis County Historical Museum since 2008. To quote Patty Valdez, the founder of the group, "I can say without a shadow of a doubt that the museum is truly haunted, and it is to our belief that the museum is perhaps one of the most haunted locations in all of Washington."
Museum Director Jason Madison invites interested individuals to attend the museum's upcoming ghost tours. Previous tours have produced unexplained voice recordings and a video that is decidedly creepy. You may experience something you otherwise wouldn't and hear fun stories, he says.
Jason has had his own encounters at the museum. To quote, "I was in the office after hours and it was getting dark. While typing away on the computer, I saw a shadowy figure peek its head around the corner, and lights get turned on that were previously turned off."
A volunteer by the name of Sylvia Livermore has worked at the museum for the last 12 years. She has had countless unexplained experiences, many while alone in the museum. She doesn't seem to mind though. To quote, "I don't bother them and they don't bother me. I'm not scared, but things do get moved around now and then."
She has also been called by name while walking down the hallway.
A cabinet in the attic refuses to stay closed, even when made to.
Reflections of people in mirrors when nobody else is there.
Sylvia once saw 2 young girls in old-timey clothing looking at the rock display in the hallway, only to vanish suddenly.
A military trunk that had other trunks stacked on top of it mysteriously appears on the top of the pile, over and over again. According to Sylvia, the person that owned it must have wanted it to be seen.
Maybe one day, we'll unlock all the mysteries to the paranormal sightings at the Lewis County Historical Museum.
Number 4 is the Hotel de Haro.
The Hotel de Haro was built in 1886 by John McMillan and is the oldest continuously running lodge in the state of Washington.
It quickly became a hotspot with a guest list including former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt. This historic hotel offers a variety of fun activities.
Tennis and like sport courts.
a pool and spa area,
and a dining room mausoleum experience complete with urned remains.
Wait, what'd you just say?
Near the hotel is a haunting path in the woods, complete with archways containing greetings such as, "Your coming gave us pleasure, your going gives us pain."
The mausoleum is a piece of art in many ways, from its curved table and chairs to the pillars containing the remains of the Macmillan family. One pillar is missing a large section in the middle, a representation of the unfinished work we leave behind.
In the 1950s, ownership of the Hotel de Haro changed hands. The new owners found an urn containing the remains of one of the domestic servants of the Macmillan family, Ada. While she was eventually laid to rest in the mausoleum with her former employers, she was left unnamed. It is for this reason that she is believed to haunt the halls of the Hotel de Haro.
However, Ada is not alone. A prankster spirit thought to be a former governess and secretary for the Macmillans named Miss Beaning roams the ground looking for mischief to sow. If you find a freshly blown out candle is relit, you can almost bet it's Miss Beaning.
Throughout the years, employees have reported many paranormal or odd occurrences.
Appliances turning on and off.
Items moving around the storerooms as if being rearranged.
The distinct sound of clothes rustling around you when no one is there.
And one particular storeroom door seems to open on its own. If you're ever on San Juan Island, Washington, one thing's for sure. You're in for a hauntingly good time at the Hotel de Haro at Roche Harbor Resort. Our final entry on this list is the Northern State Mental Hospital. The Northern State Mental Hospital was first established in 1909 after the overcrowded conditions at the Western State Hospital came under public criticism. Northern State Hospital officially opened in 1912.
Once hailed as the largest facility of its kind in Washington state, the Northern State Hospital was a town unto itself.
The Olmsted brothers, whose father was famous for having designed New York City's Central Park, designed the landscape at Northern Hospital.
They worked in close collaboration with Northern State's farm superintendent to create a self-sustaining and therapeutic colony for the mentally ill.
The hospital site included patient and staff housing,
A water reservoir and sewer system,
greenhouse and canning facilities,
a steam plant,
library,
gymnasium,
dining room, bakery, and dairy.
and a 700-acre farm for growing vegetables and raising livestock. A cemetery was also included in the site plan.
At some point in the 1950s, about 2,700 patients lived at Northern State Hospital. Despite being at overcapacity, the superintendent at the time says that they were still being pressed to take on more patients. Public perception of mental hospitals began to change in the 1970s, and, due to the state cutting its funding, the Northern State Mental Hospital closed its doors by 1976.
Some of the buildings have been torn down, although a few of the remaining buildings are currently being used for Job Corps projects and drug rehabilitation.
The active buildings at Northern State are off limits to members of the public, but much of the former property is now part of the Northern State Recreation Area. It is located just north of the Skagit River near the town of Sedro-Woolley.
The recreation area has an extensive trail system that will take you through wide open pastures, along forested lanes, and past the still standing barns, milking sheds, and other structures used during the hospital's self-sustaining past. You can also visit the old cemetery, which is the resting place of at least 1,500 people.
However, this hospital's past wasn't only self-sustaining, it was also dark and horrifying. Northern State Hospital participated in a number of unethical techniques to cure mental illness. The most common one being occupational therapy in the hopes that the physical labor on the farm would help with their recovery. Others included electroshock therapy and lobotomies.
Many patients were enrolled in training to prepare them for release, but several were also sterilized in the belief that it was not only for their own good, but for the good of the society as well.
The most tragic detail is that, in their active days, hospitals such as Northern State were a common place to drop people who were less mentally ill and more difficult to handle.
Wives and young women could be committed for hysteria or even for being promiscuous.
Children with attention disorders were often resigned to the asylum life.
Overcrowding was an all too common occurrence.
The number of patients rumored to have died in Northern State Hospital is in the thousands. It's no surprise that there have been many ghost sightings all around the grounds.
The most common apparition reported is a little girl with a red ball and a male ghost searching for her.
And that's it for our top 5 list.
We're going to leave you now with some highlights from the gorgeous state of Washington.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell.
For more content like this, be sure to go connect with us on Facebook and Instagram.
Also, stay tuned for more historical explorations and paranormal investigations from
Gals and Ghosts.